NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us now with the very latest. Sam, let's talk more about President Biden's visit. Monica touched on it a moment ago, but what else did we hear from him while he was on the ground in North Carolina?
Sure. So it's important background to note the president came, Joe, and offered a very sobering assessment of what is going to be a multi-month, if not multi-year process of recovery, and the fact that there's going to be billions, probably tens of billions in economic damage for these communities. He said that the federal government is going to stick this out. We know there's already 3,500 federal personnel on the ground, 1,200 urban search and rescue teams, but they've also been responding to the idea that FEMA was not acting fast enough. We got some information from FEMA, Joe, about the fact that they had to pre-position in a general location where they could reach several different states should the needs arise. They were in Raleigh originally. It's why it took 48 plus hours for them to get water and food disseminated on the ground in places like Swannanoa, where I am right now. We only had access here, Joe, in the last day and a half or so because the roads finally opened up. I want to point your attention to what's behind me. This is the main road in and out of Swannanoa. This is a giant gaping hole that basically takes up about a half a block. This thing goes probably 10 to 12 feet deep. The road just buckled from within. And behind me, you're seeing all these crews right now trying to restore power lines. I know you mentioned the fact that it's widespread. There's roughly 1 million customers at this hour with no power in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. The scale is unbelievable. Residents here are being told that they may have power. Most people will by Friday, at least in this part of western North Carolina. That's if they can get the infrastructure actually rebuilt again, though. That's not everybody, Joe. So running water, another major crisis on the ground. Officials would not even venture to give a projection as to how long it would take to get residents here running water back again. It could be weeks, it could be months. Some people worried it could be as long as 6 months. So the Biden administration needs to certainly work through all of these different multi-layered crises that are happening simultaneously. The president trying to give his voice to the fact that they will do that, and please be patient.
Sam, in addition to just the incredible images you're seeing there, I know you are hearing harrowing stories from people. Talk about some of the things you are hearing.
This is pretty incredible. So we met so many folks yesterday in a small little neighborhood, working class neighborhood, about a half a mile from where I'm standing. They were talking about punctured holes in the roof where people had to break through their attic and get onto the roof itself to be rescued either by kayak or by chopper. And we saw the proof of that, not just in terms of the holes, but also flotation devices that some folks had used from getting from one house to another to put themselves in a position to be rescued. That was harrowing. Talked to another gentleman, his name is Charles Muse, who was going through his house. Everything is caked in mud. We're talking about feet of mud. He was just trying to salvage things that were either very important in terms of having a social security card or a birth certificate, or family items that meant a lot to him personally. Here's a portion of our conversation yesterday and why these mementos are so important. Take a listen.
We have no running water. We're living off of water bottles and generators, and it looks like the city of Asheville is saying the water is going to be maybe weeks, maybe months before they have the situation back up and running. Everybody's helping now, but the real battle starts in about 6 weeks when the paperwork's done and we start to rebuild. That's when we're going to need the most help here.
It's such a good point, Joe. We're in a part of the country where there's a lot of second properties for folks. You know, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, there's not a lot of available inventory in the Asheville area. Now you're talking about all these working class people that have been totally displaced without the housing inventory to support it. Where are they going to live in the short to medium term as they're rebuilding their homes? Just one of the many issues right now facing local officials. Joe?
Such an important point, because so many are going to have to now make a long commute to get in and out of the area day after day after day. I mean, Sam, we're just about a week into this disaster. As that man Charles mentioned, this is going to be months, years of recovery. But just right now, beyond the housing, what are the greatest needs?
Let me run you through a few of the others. Cellular connectivity. So right now, we don't even know, Joe, whether is it dozens, is it hundreds of people that are still unaccounted for? We've heard figures like 11,000 welfare checks down to 150, down to a handful. The latest we got from Buncombe County was they had it down to 4 from 400. But no one seems to have that much of an idea, largely because people are telling us we can't reach our relatives. We go to try to call them or use government channels and no one can get online. I would say that's probably at the top of the list. Water, we talked about, electricity, really just being able to get supplies through all of these things in their totality have created a nightmare logistically.
All right. Sam Brock, Sam, appreciate your reporting. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.